Your relationship may feel like it's at an all-time low because of all the fighting. But what you're seeing as just arguing is actually a cycle that is silently and quickly pulling you apart. And until you recognize it, it will continue to control your relationship, leaving you both feeling alone, unloved, and constantly fighting. But in this video, I'm going to show you how to break free finally of that cycle so you can feel close to your partner again and stop fighting. So to stop the fighting, you need to change how you're viewing your fights with your partner. I need you to reframe and look at the fights as a cycle that both of you get stuck in. And when this cycle takes over your relationship, you feel hurt, distant, and resentful towards your partner. Most couples make a critical mistake that make them feel stuck. They start treating their partner as the enemy. But what if I told you the real enemy is not your partner? It's the cycle itself. And when you see the cycle as a problem rather than each other, it changes everything. Have you ever felt like no matter what you do, these repetitive fights just keep happening? If that's you, hit the like button now so other people know that they're not the only one dealing with this situation. I want you to treat your fights as two people trying to get their dance move right. They're trying to do this tango dance, but they keep stepping on each other's toes and they're basically out of sync. The problem is not your dance partner, but actually both of you following this bad choreography. And you just need to fix the choreography to be in sync again. Let me show you this with an example. Imagine you're feeling unloved, unimportant to your partner right now. Instead of just being direct and vulnerable and saying how you're hurt that your partner is not paying attention to you, you say something like, "You never love me. You never pay attention to me." Now, in this situation, what do you think your partner is actually going to hear? He's going to hear this as a criticism of himself. And what's going to be their quick response to you in that moment? Defensiveness. They snap back in anger because they feel criticized. They may say something like, "That's ridiculous. You're so ungrateful. After everything I've done for you, that's what you say." Now, as a result of this conversation, you're both upset. With their defensive response, you're going to feel more unloved. The more unloved you feel, the more critical you're going to be with them. The more you're going to escalate the attacks and the criticism. The more criticized your partner feels, the more defensive they'll get, and the more they will attack you back. And that will, of course, make you feel even more unloved. Now, can you see how you're both stuck in this vicious cycle that's taking over your relationship without even knowing it? And then you're going to start questioning your relationship, your partner, and just thinking that they're the mean one. In the meantime, though, you're both hurt and alone because even though you deeply care for each other, this cycle is putting a wedge between the two. So the issue is not you nor your partner, it's just how both of you get stuck in this protective mode of defending yourself with angry responses, criticism, and just missing each other's vulnerable feelings. What you're actually fighting about, as I said in a previous video, is these unmet emotional needs for feeling loved, accepted, and valued. If you want to check out that video on unmet emotional needs and how it can lead to fights, you can check the video on the screen now. Now, does this sound familiar to you? Have you ever said something in anger to your partner during a fight that you regret later? Drop a yes in the comments if that's you. Now you might be thinking, okay, great. I know there's a cycle. How is this going to help me? How am I actually supposed to stop the fights? What do I do differently next time I'm with my partners to make sure we don't get into an argument? Now, identifying your cycle is the first step. The real work starts when you learn to break it. That's where most couples get stuck. And that's exactly what I help couples do inside my coaching program. In the program, I'll personally help you map out the cycle that you get stuck in. I'll help you understand the exact triggers keeping you stuck and give you personal strategies to break free of this fighting loop. If you're tired of the same painful arguments and ready to finally feel heard, connected, and understood, click the link in the description below to learn more about the program. Whether you decide to join the program or not, I'm going to give you 5 practical tips you can implement today to stop your fighting. The first thing that you and your partner need to get into a habit of is being able to identify the cycle when it happens. You may not understand when the cycle happens when you're in the moment, when you're in a heat of an anger, but even if it's 24 hours after a fight or 3 days after a fight, I want you to reflect on the fight and see how did it actually escalate. So identify how it actually started, the situation that sparked the fight, what you were feeling in that moment. Were you feeling hurt, unimportant, unappreciated? What was the core vulnerable emotion you were feeling underneath the anger? And after identifying the cycle and the emotion both of you were feeling at the time, recognize the destructive behaviors that you engaged in when you were in that fight. So maybe you can grab a piece of paper and write down, okay, this is what I said to my partner when I was feeling angry. So I criticized him. I said, you're such a selfish person. Okay, so that's a criticism. I'm going to write that down. Or maybe I attacked his character, or I attacked his family because I was so hurt. So then what I did was I attacked. So that's my destructive behavior. And your partner is going to do the same. So then you've identified all these destructive behaviors that you may engage in when you're upset. So I'm going to give you a few examples of unproductive behaviors during a fight. One of them is actually shutting out your partner. So you feel shut down and you emotionally withdraw. Maybe you start ignoring your partner, or you give them the silent treatment. These are all behaviors that are going to maintain and escalate this cycle further. Then you're going to choose alternative behaviors that you're going to engage in next time you have those feelings. Next time you feel devalued by your partner, you make a conscious choice that you're not going to criticize, you're not going to attack, because you know this is just going to further fuel that cycle between the two of you. You're just going to take a step back instead and say something that's going to pull your partner closer rather than pushing them away. Let's say you're feeling hurt and you just said to your partner, you're so selfish, and this comes from you not feeling cared for or not feeling like you matter to your partner. So instead of saying to your partner, you're selfish, next time you get that feeling, you're going to say something like, you know what, I'm getting that feeling again that I'm unimportant to you and I don't want to get angry. I just want you to know that I'm really hurt right now and I'm in a lot of pain. So what this does, your partner is not going to take this as a criticism. They're not going to defend themselves, most likely. And they will most probably say something like, oh, I'm sorry, I hurt you. I didn't mean that. Use vulnerable feelings that you're feeling in that moment and express them gently so that your partner can actually hear you, understand you, and this way you're pulling them closer. Because at the end of the day, all you want is to feel understood by your partner. You don't want to push them away, but your way of expressing your emotional needs somehow pushes your partner away and contributes to this cycle. The next thing I can tell you is just avoid angry responses to your partner, because anger has this, it has this protective value, right? When you're angry, you're asserting your boundaries. You're basically saying to someone, you violated my boundaries and I need you to back off. But I'm not sure if this is what you want with your partner. In a relationship, if you express anger to your partner, unless if it's a huge violation that's happened in the relationship, if you express anger to them, they're going to take it personally. The other thing is anger is always such a good mask for vulnerable feelings. So because you don't want to be vulnerable to your partner and say, I need you, you've really hurt me, because you want to protect yourself from that vulnerability, you wear the shield of getting angry at them, and that just backfires. So change your angry responses with vulnerable responses. Another thing I want you to try, if you feel criticized by your partner, actually let them know that you feel criticized. Instead of getting defensive, you're just going to tell them that you're feeling criticized right now. But also, if you hear criticism from your partner saying, you know what, you're selfish, you don't care about me, I want you to reframe this as, this is a bid for connection. So if my partner is angry with me, it means they just want to connect. This is their way of protesting not being close to me and missing me. And this way, by this reframing, you're going to actually accept their bid for connection and kind of validate that I hear you. And that validation and accepting their bid for connection and actually connecting has a great way of disarming your partner and just preventing you to get into a cycle of argument. Whenever your partner has a feedback for you, they're feeling hurt or not understood, try to not take it as a criticism, but instead reframe it as something important for them is missing, and I'm just going to validate their feelings. And now, what does validating their feelings look like? If I'm saying to my partner, you know what, the other day I felt really hurt and I felt like you didn't care about me, a validating response is, I'm so sorry I made you feel that way. It wasn't my intention. I want you to feel loved and I want you to feel valued. This is what happened the other day that made me be late to our dinner date. A defensive response would be, why are you complaining again? You're making a big deal out of nothing. You're oversensitive. I think you just need to chill. So this way your partner is going to repeat themselves again because they don't feel hurt. So drop a yes in the comments if you see how these strategies could shift how you fight with your partner. But here's the biggest challenge. Even if you understand this cycle cycle and all these techniques. If you can't manage your emotions in the moment, your fights will spiral out of control. If you want to learn how to stay calm even when emotions are high and stop the fights before they explode, click the video on your screen now.